MECH MINUTES! Hello everybody and welcome back to MECH MINUTES, the show where Battletech is painted and Sarna.net is recited. Since I painted up a legendary Mechwarrior last time, let's go for a standard mercenaries box today. This one, I'm feeling lucky. Fast, lightly armed, and goddamn expensive, here we have an Ost Scout, one of my favorite light mechs. Despite being favored by many great houses, I'm honestly feeling like painting this guy up as a mercenary. For no other reason than the great houses usually like to paint up their mechs in very bright colors, which doesn't exactly lend itself well to being sneaky and scouting behind enemy lines, which is a role that the Ost Scout excels at. And also, I'd really like to challenge myself by trying to paint up a nice Arctic camouflage. So to get started on that, I'm going to give the model a nice prime of wolf gray. I'm gonna level with you. I haven't painted camouflage in a while, and I haven't painted camouflage in a model this small ever, so the camouflage process was very messy, but my idea was to have it be a 4-tone camouflage with the wolf gray as the base, and then a gray on top of that, and then some black bits, and then some white bits to kind of make this nice tundra scheme. But my camo skills kind of leave a lot to be desired. In the end, however, we managed to get to a point that I was happy with, and I hope you will like it too. On the lore side of things, the Ost Scout is a 35-ton light battle mech designed by Osman Industries in the year 2600. It comes packed with a respectable 4.5 tons of armor, but it is a hyper-specialist scout mech, being packed with incredibly advanced computer system that, as all things nice and advanced during the Succession Wars, became very sought after and hard to replace. This is actually why a lot of the great houses kept their Ost Scouts under lock and key, meaning a great number of Star League examples survived past the Succession Wars, which is quite rare for mechs of this class. Being made predominantly of engine, this thing has a very good top speed of 129 kilometers per hour. That, paired with some jump jets that give it a jump speed of 240 meters, make it quite a nimble piece of machinery. The classic doctrine for this thing is to sneak behind enemy lines, running around and using its advanced sensors and computer systems to map out the topography of the battlefield, as well as try to catalog any forces that it comes across. And if it does get caught, it does sport a single medium laser as its armament, so if it's ever forced into open conflict with anything other than the lightest of mechs, well, it's basically cooked, which especially stings because it is a $3 million light mech. That is really its major Achilles heel, is that while it is a great scout, it's just not very cost effective, especially compared to the other cheaper light mechs of the same class. Back over here in Painting Land, I tried to salvage this camouflage job using some ancient Drakenhof Nightshade wash, and well, the wash was alright, but I didn't really like the camo still. It didn't really work. Here I'm trying to touch out some of the blue with a little bit of ultramarine, and that didn't really work. I tried a dry brush. Eventually I just ended up going over the colors again, and to be honest, I kind of plugged away at this for a while. I have a lot of footage of this, so I'm just going to kind of skip through it a little bit, and woohoo, here's the camo that I ended up liking, and then we'll just go from here. Using some plate mail metal, I go over the laser, the antennas, and any other bits that could be metal, like the jump jets and heat sinks. I then use some thinned down green skin for the visor, because as I've learned from my hobby career, especially from my Space Wolf army, green and blue go really nicely together. I still kind of found that the camo was a bit lacking, but once I put on the green visor, it really kind of all came together. This mech was really an embodiment of trust the process, I suppose. While I whip up a quick base that's going for a kind of snowy, dirty plateau, let me talk about some of the most interesting variants of the Ost Scout. After the clan invasion, with technology being reintroduced to the inner sphere, the Ost Scout was experimented on and several variants were made. Only a single variant was made before the clan invasions, however, and that one was the OTT-7JB, which was a version of the Ost Scout specifically for SLDF Royal units. The 7JB frees up space and mass using endosteel and adds a Beagle active probe. Not too interesting, but definitely a good addition to its already impressive sensor suite. The OTT-7K swaps its medium laser for TAG, or a Target Acquisition Gear Laser Designator. Now this can designate for missiles, but not just any missiles, it can also designate for Arrow 4 artillery, which can be nuclear armed. So this means that you can basically get a nuclear payload wherever you can get an Ost Scout, which is most places. The OTT-9CS is a Comstar upgrade of the YOS Scout developed in 3064. It keeps a lot of the advanced computer systems, albeit modernized, keeps the jump jets, but it has the tag of the 7K variant, as well as 2 extended range medium lasers and an extended range small laser. So it is basically just better than the original OSSCOUT in pretty much every conceivable way. It also mounts ferrofibrous armor and an endosteel internal structure to save weight. The last variant of note is the OTT-12R variant, which is a linkage between Clan Seafox and Kong Interstellar. It is outfitted with stealth armor, which makes it nigh indetectable by electronic means, and it also mounts a Guardium ECM suite. However, there are conflicts between these two systems, and the Guardium ECM suite must be activated only when the stealth armor is deactivated. In terms of weaponry, it is equipped with an extended range large laser. And with that, we are just about done. Sorry if it was a little bit of a lore dump near the end there, but I mean, hey, that's why you clicked on the video, right? The YOS Scout is honestly one of my favorite light mechs of all time, purely because it just looks awesome. It was one of the first mechs that I asked my brother to print off for me when we were just getting into Battletech, and unfortunately, he never did, because he couldn't find an STL of it. I guess it's not that popular of a mech. But I'm extremely glad that I pulled this one, and it was very fun painting it up. Anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you in the next one.